Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen. Honestly, I'm not even surprised anymore how many times I end up praising this series for delivering on a weekly basis. However, Season 2 Episode 21 was something special in its own right. For the last few weeks, we've been watching the clash of ideals between Yuji and Mahito, Jujutsu Sorcerer and Cursed Spirit, and today we finally come to the conclusion of this decisive battle between both of these talented individuals fighting for very different realities. And boy was it amazing to watch. Continuing right where we left off last week, we see Mahito provoking Yuji to try even harder, as this is the last time that they'll be able to curse one another. And I always enjoy seeing the cliffhanger scenes from the previous week reanimated differently the next week. You got to see the sheer range and nastiness of Mahito's soul multiplicity, and it's because they're always fighting non-stop in JJK, but I really took a moment to sit back and observe that this man Mahito is actually revolting. He's an amazing villain. I can always enjoy a character who revels in their own twisted sense of justice and plays as a perfect counterpart to the MC not only in ideology, but in their methods too. But come on man, this is just filthy. I really realized that outside of fighting these transfigured humans, Yuji and Todo will probably have to test for some sort of bacterial infection after fighting this criminal. But I digress. The opening scene was really epic, and the brief moment of Todo and Yuji looking at each other before throwing hands with Mahito just showed how locked in the two were. And something that I've constantly been finding myself impressed with is the creative liberties the animators have been taking with Mahito's abilities and overall fight scenes in this season, which weren't all present in the manga. Because as I'm sure everyone has come to realize at this point, Mahito is overpowered as fuck. His idol transfiguration is easily one of the most busted and versatile abilities in Jujutsu Kaisen, so seeing these different ideas implemented into his fighting style just clearly highlights his development since Season 1. Because the same way Yuji Itadori has only been in the Jujutsu world for a few months, Mahito only spawned as a cursed spirit probably around or under a year ago. He hasn't been around long, but his growth has been explosive. And when you have so many advantages like he does, you have to be sure to use them. Like bro literally turned into Miggy from Parasite and spawned feet from his severed head. He's literally only limited to his imagination. He definitely must have been undergoing that secret Gojo training behind the scenes. And the efforts Mahito put forward were also a testament to how difficult his opponents were. Because when you put everything into perspective, this legit isn't fair. Now hold on, this is Jujutsu Kaisen where all jumping is legal, there's no such thing as a fair fight, and the only person who gets to run the ones is Gojo because no one wants to do that with him anyway. If you're a cursed spirit, you might as well have the rest of the verse jump you to be honest and taking on Gojo head on, and obviously this applies for Sukuna too, but Mahito as OP as he is, has a natural enemy in Yuji, being that he can damage his soul, which is the only way that he can even take damage. He can't use his domain expansion due to Sukuna residing in Yuji, and we all know how that went in Season 1. And then he's also got to fight All Might's long lost brother, who's strong, unpredictable, and has the most disorienting technique with his boogie woogie. Man, I love this crackhead. But the point is, this is a high difficulty battle for both sides, and each side brought out every possible strategy they could think of. And the anime really elevated this fight through its original additions, which I like to praise it for. Like Todo really threw a hanger. I don't know why it had me laughing so much. I was expecting a rock like in the manga, but hanger was so specific. Given the fact that he got hit with the Shin Shurioken of death by the final boss of transfigured humans into a clothing store though, it does make sense. Anyway, after the three had been going back and forth for a while, Mahito realizes this isn't going to cut it. His arch nemesis and Universe 6 All Might are too much of a problem, and he goes for an all or nothing domain expansion of 0.2 seconds. Now this is just one of the reasons I love Mahito, viruses and all. Outside of him obviously being a villain and doing villain things, he's really up 3-0 to Yuji at this point. But it's his childish nature and growth that really moves me. In Season 1, there's always one Mahito scene I enjoy mentioning, and it's when he first unlocked his domain expansion. This man was getting jumped to death. Literally after that episode aired, I think we can agree across the world, Mahito became the poster boy for victims of jumping, and Jujutsu Kaisen cemented itself as a powerhouse of anime jumpings. But during all this, while Mahito was experiencing this danger, he said, "What fresh inspiration? Is this death? I bet I could do it now," while laughing, as he unleashes his domain for the first time. His ability to evolve when his back's against the wall is undeniable, whether you hate or like Mahito respectfully. And after all three hit black flashes, this fight was on a high at all times. Because when Mahito unleashed that domain, he said the person who taught me this trick was with so much confidence. I'm sure someone out there probably thought they missed an episode where Gojo was training Mahito one-on-one. But all jokes aside, he really copied the strongest sorcerer after seeing him pull off this insane feat once. Even Sukuna was just smiling at him like, "You got me, I can't touch you this time." Bro was really talking crazy to the king of curses. That's how you know Mahito was in flow state. But Yuji and Todo were on the exact same type of timing, making for one of the highlights of the episode for me personally because it just looked awesome. It was the instant reaction of Todo to cast simple domain and Yuji blowing out towards Mahito. All three were just performing at their peak. Everything was at such a high intensity, even the narrator was talking faster than usual, like she just hit a black flash in the recording studio or something. The whole situation was seriously tense.
聖徳領域の具現化と術式の発動、本来2段階の工程を一つにまとめる、国戦を経た覚醒状態が可能にした早技。
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
But Mahito managed to get Todo's arm, effectively killing his technique and hit him with a black flash straight on. But as we all know, this was not enough to kill brother Todo. And honestly, looking at this episode, well, pretty much every episode Todo's ever been in, and linking it back to Gojo's words of to be a good sorcerer, you have to have a few screws loose, I'm actually convinced Todo's not on the same planet as us. Like, bro might actually be schizophrenic. No offense to anyone. Because why did this man imagine a whole fighting sequence with Takada-chan against Mahito? Bro was fighting with her like she's his stand. How is Mahito supposed to know the frame data for attacks that don't exist? Like, literally look at his face, he doesn't know how the hell this half-dead man is still hitting him right now. But you gotta love Todo, man. He's off the rails 24/7. I honestly can't see how anyone would hate this absolute legend. And the way he set up his brother Yuji into this black flash, perfection. However, at this point, Mahito and Yuji have both taken extreme damage, and if I remember correctly, both have hit like 2 black flashes at this point. They're honestly just in the zone, and amidst all the chaos, Mahito grasps the true essence of his soul and transforms into his instant spirit body of distorted killing. And the name slaps, you can't deny it. But this is honestly where Mahito becomes a true curse, and him and Yuji start going back and forth with insane hand-to-hand combat. But Yuji quickly realizes, not gonna lie, I'm all the way messed up, and I haven't got no curse technique. I just got him with the blackest of black flashes, the ultimate black flash, which is pretty much a black flash at full strength using all his cursed energy. And I thought the direction here was really cool when we had the text saying no sorcerer can use black flash at will, and the screen broke, symbolizing he had reached the stage where he's an exception to this rule. Because with black flash giving you that further understanding of cursed energy that sets apart sorcerers drastically, Yuji has hit it like 6 or 7 times at this point in the series, and given the stakes now, he's borderline unstoppable. Even Mahito's taken notice of Yuji's current state and is wary. But what happened next was pure cinema, and honestly thank God for Aoi Todo, because the way Mahito was trying to bait Yuji, if Todo wasn't here, Yuji would have gotten the whiff punish of death. But Todo already conditioned Mahito with his boogie woogie, so the fake mix-up worked here despite his curse technique already being dead. Look how scared Mahito was of that fake clap. He literally hit nothing. And that's what cost him the Shibuya Arc Tournament Grand Finals, because the black flash Yuji hit him with, my goodness. I've had Yuta's black flash as my favorite in this series up until this point, but this was borderline a hate crime. Just look at Yuji's face. He wanted Mahito gone. And with this, we've officially reached the climax of this fight. Mahito has no more tricks up his sleeve and Yuji has him cornered, the same way a hunter does his prey. But before Mahito can truly understand the severity of the situation, Yuji says, I admit it, Mahito, I'm you. And that he wanted to deny it before, but now he just wants to kill him. And it doesn't matter whether Mahito changes his appearance, name, or respawns as a new curse, Yuji will kill him again and again. His purpose might never be apparent to him, and it might become clear what his role in everything was long after his death, but this is his mission in the war between humanity and curses. And honestly, I got goosebumps finally seeing this scene animated. The significance of the I'm you scene tends to go over people's heads, especially on a first time viewing basis, which can especially happen in the anime given its consistent pacing, whereas with manga you can really take your time. But curses and humanity are really 2 sides of the same coin, hence why Mahito said at the start of this battle I'm you to Yuji, because they're essentially doing the same thing for different causes. Their ideologies differ, their outlook on life is completely opposite, but the same way Yuji saves without a second thought, Mahito kills and terrorizes humans without second thought. And especially in a world like JJK, the strong dominate the hierarchy. The strong impose their rule upon the weak. So if Yuji didn't even have the conviction to come to terms with the truth of this war he's in, he obviously would never be able to defeat someone like Mahito, who believes in himself and follows through in his beliefs without wavering. But Yuji at this point has Mahito for the first time truly fearing for his life. And honestly, Mahito is so pathetic in this moment, it's amazing. Again, the VAs are just killing it, but Mahito truly went outside or was going outside until Ghetto appears at the last moment. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. Episode 21 was just a complete movie, and the Shibuya arc is about to wrap up in like 2 episodes. I'm honestly going to miss this experience. I can easily say from the bottom of my heart, this has been one of my favorite seasons of anime ever, and the weekly viewing is something I'll never forget. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're still aiming for 20k by the end of the year. I honestly don't know if we're going to hit it, but at this point it still doesn't hurt to try. And let me know your thoughts on the episode down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.